Further ado, I'm going to introduce to you Deborah Roth. She's an interfaith minister, spiritual life design coach, and she's going to be presenting Reclaiming the Divine Feminine for Mind, Body, and Spirit Wholeness. So I just want to welcome Deborah onto our session. Hello, Deborah.
Hello, Anna.
Oh my gosh, it's so great to see you.
It's so fun to be here. Oh my gosh.
I hope you've enjoyed the day so far, and you look so beautiful and cheery in your happy joy colors of red and orange and yellow. And with that said, I'm not going to take up any more of your time. I'll let you take over, and I'll see you in a little while. Okay?
Great.
Enjoy, everybody.
Hello, everyone. I am delighted to be here. As Anna said, I'm Deborah Roth. I'm actually a fairly new member of the Wellness Universe, really only in January, and it was kind of one of those things that I had set aside for when I had bandwidth to really get into it, because from what I could see, it was kind of amazing. Well, as of the last 2 months, I have plenty of bandwidth. I'm in New York City, and so it's been pretty intense here, but that has also played out in some really wonderful ways, apropos of what I'm going to be talking about today. So the name of my business is Spirited Living, which kind of encapsulates everything that I do. As Anna said, I'm a life and career, spiritual life and career transition coach and an interfaith minister. And I would say, so this notion of the divine feminine, I'm assuming if you're here that you've had some connection with it, or at least a curiosity about what this means, the divine feminine, goddess energy, all that kind of stuff. For me, it really sort of burst into my life in 1992 when I walked into our Unitarian church, our UU church. Check it out if you don't know about Unitarian Universalism. And the minister there introduced me to this notion of the goddess, of the divine feminine. And for me, on a spiritual level, it was, oh, that's what was missing. And literally, it's transformed my life over the last, oh my gosh, almost 30 years. To the point where I ended up getting a master's in psychology, specializing in women's spirituality and feminist psychology. So I've been living in this stuff for a long time, leading women's circles. And I actually see, yay, I see a couple of my women's circle friends here. Hello, Susan, and a few others. I think I saw Lorena today. So I've been living in this space for a very long time, and I want to introduce you or help you to reclaim it. Now, the name that I initially gave to this presentation was Reclaiming the Divine Feminine for Mind, Body, Spirit Wholeness. And yes, that's certainly the case. And I've so loved listening to Harry and to Laura and the ways that they talk about how left brain, right brain, masculine, feminine energy feed each other and support each other. And I feel like, I know that for the last millennium, thank goodness we're in a 2000 millennium at this point, but before that, things were pretty much tipped in the masculine direction, which is not a bad thing. We need masculine energy. We need positive masculine energy, which is typically associated with the left brain. What we are reclaiming to bring back and rebirth, and that's actually the other sort of name I was coming up with more recently, that Reclaiming the Divine Feminine for Personal and Global Rebirth, which is so evocative of the divine feminine, of the feminine giving birth, whether you've given birth to babies or to projects or possibilities or books, we all have that energy within us. And I'll talk a little bit more about the different archetypes, or as I call them, the fem types that are represented in women's spirituality in this notion of the divine feminine. So I think where I want to start is giving you a sense of what some of that, and I want to hear from you. On and off for years, I've led this one program called Venusian Solutions, which focuses on the traits that we identify with feminine energy, with positive feminine energy. Anybody, if you just throw some into the chat room, what are ones, and I'm going to ask you for masculine in a minute too. So kind of think of that duality, but think of them along a spectrum and think of them as weaving with each other. We're not trying to make one better than the other. So think for yourself, feminine qualities, again, associated with the right brain, definitely not, and we saw it with Harry, I see it with my husband, Peter, not assigned to female. I mean, we all carry masculine and feminine energy within us. And when we talk about the divine feminine, it's the higher polarity of that. So think about, and if you're not familiar with the qualities, when I was doing my master's thesis, there were four that really came up very specifically. Caring, nurturing, yes, nurturing. Empathy, compassion, terrific. Intuition, somebody going to come up with intuition? That's another good one. Now, what's interesting with empathy, if you have not heard of, Google this when you get a chance. If you haven't heard of tend and befriend, it's actually a bunch of female scientists coined this, like back in the 90s, which was an alternative to how women it was how women respond to stress in their laboratory compared to how the men did, and it was an alternative to the fight, flight, or freeze. And we have that. We come by it naturally. Women do hormonally in our increased estrogen and oxytocin, which is the nurturing, hugging hormone. So tend to befriend means that when we're under stress, we reach out and we connect with people, which we can't do that physically right now. It's certainly one of the things we're all missing the most. I suspect is the physical contact with people that we love, or even people that we don't know that well. Just met somebody in the park yesterday and said, yeah, we're just going to hug everybody we know when we come out of this. That's that nurturing, that connection quality, that ability to create community and collaboration, all definitely part of feminine energy. The other one, and why I think this is particularly a powerful time to get back in touch with this piece of feminine energy, is it connects us, it reminds us of our connection to our bodies. And again, as women, but this is so for men, as women, we circle and cycle in sync with the moon, not maybe exactly in sync with the moon. In ancient times, and this is really cool to do your own sort of checking on too, women did, before there were electric lights and all the things that take us away from our natural lunar connection or our natural earth connection. We did cycle in sync with the moon. So through our cycles, our life cycles, our body cycles, all the things that move through our life, that connects us to the cycles of nature. And if we look at, and this is kind of quintessential divine feminine, what do we call the earth? How do we refer to the earth? Pause for a minute. We refer to her as Mother Nature, or as the Earth Mother, right? I'm seeing some other ones. I have to remember to keep scrolling down. Gentle, gentleness, tending, compassionate. So our connection with the Earth Mother is, well, we would not survive without her. We've done a pretty lousy job, however, of taking care of her. And that's why this notion of reclaiming the divine feminine for personal and global rebirth is so important right now. We keep hearing everybody talk about how we're in a pause, and we certainly, we humans certainly are. But it's amazing when you see images of what's going on the earth now, with wild animals walking on the streets of cities because there's no one around to stop them or scare them away. There's a wonderful image of the Himalayan mountains, which apparently is usually enshrouded in smog, and you can now see it crystal clear. So we are definitely however it was created, we won't get into that. However this pandemic started, we are definitely in a place where we can pause our connection to Mother Earth and let her be reborn. And hopefully, I just so pray for this so strongly, that when we come to the other side of this, we'll remember some of these lessons and remember the ways that we have to nurture and hold and nourish our earth, our Mother Earth right now. So that's another piece, this connection to our bodies, this connection to nature that happens with feminine energy. I think the other thing to point out too, when we talk about intuition, very commonly we talk about it being as women's intuition, which is, we all have intuition, we know that. Where I think that's come across, and this was also fascinating to study. I have all kinds of books, if anybody loves this kind of stuff, I love to spread the word, that women's intuition is actually, that phrase is actually a construct of patriarchal thinking, because women had to figure out ways to communicate with each other, to move around in the world when their activity was limited, which it's not so much now, but it's still going on. And so it was easy to label those dark things, those things we don't understand, and to demonize some of these qualities. What's happening now, which I think is just not just now in the last 2 months, but I think certainly over the last many years, is that there's now this gradual return to acknowledgement and remembering how critical our connection is to our intuition, to listening. Like, and I love that Laura's journaling exercises in the talk before. She didn't want you to think. She just wanted you to write. And not that, and we'll take a moment to talk a little bit about the positive masculine energy. We do want to balance them. There's a wonderful, if I can put my hands on it quickly, there's, I don't know that I can. There's a wonderful quote from Elizabeth Cady Stanton, who was the major feminist back in the 1920s, one of the original suffragettes who wrote the Woman's Bible. And she talks about how important it is to make sure that we are acknowledging and celebrating the balance of masculine and feminine energy. If you're too tempted to assign that to male and female, then definitely, use yin yang, use active receptive. So some of the, let's hear what people think are some of the positive manifestations of masculine energy, of yang energy. What are some of the ones that you can think of that we need? Intuition, empathy, our emotions, honoring our emotions are all incredibly important. But what do we need to balance that? What are the things that we need? And just throw them into the chat, just some words that represent, if left brain, if you know the difference between left, right brain, I think those are some of the qualities to look at too. Protection, says Dana, definitely. What other ones? How about strategizing and focusing, strength, self-assuredness, confidence, definitely. They're all qualities that we, regardless of our sex, really want to embrace. So what we're talking about here is not so much a bearing, getting things done, started. Great, thanks, Ricky. It's not so much burying things that don't, the masculine qualities, because we need that balance. It's more rising up. It's reclaiming the divine feminine in us. So what I'd love to do is introduce you to what I call, and I mentioned them at the beginning, the 4 fem types. And they originally started out in the study of women's spirituality as 3 faces of the divine feminine, 3 faces of the goddess. And when you look in cultures all over the world, you see them defined as maiden, mother, and wise woman crone. We won't get into crone. That's a loaded thing, but it's actually a very powerful stage and very powerful face, because our life expectancy has expanded for all and lots of other reasons. In more modern feminist psychology, women's spirituality, we insert, because it's a big gap between mother and crone years, mother and wise woman crone years. There's been a 4th one kind of inserted in between those 2, which is called alternately Amazon, queen, matriarch, guardian, some of these things, that the qualities that you all were thinking. So if you look at those 4 faces, we're going to do a little show and tell, and they all bring in qualities at different stages of our lives. They can all be connected to the 4 elements, fire, water, air, and earth, to the different seasons. I mean, that quaternity. I think Jung first used that phrase when he was talking about the 4 elements. The quaternity, and in this case, the quaternity of the fem types, of the 4 faces of the divine feminine, are, and I'm going to do a little show and tell here for you. Maiden, and this is Balbo, and she is, okay, she is a Greek goddess. She's playful. She's the one that, if you look up the myth, if you don't know the myth of Demeter and Persephone, she's the one that got Demeter, she tried to get Demeter laughing again when she was grieving when Persephone was taken to the underworld. So she's this playful energy. So think about that. Hold that for a minute and think, and you can write in the chat or not, how do you, it can be a tricky one right now in this intense time right now that we're particularly in. How do you hold this playful maiden energy in your life? So that's the maiden. This one, this one is, she's called Venus Willendorf. And she's, to me, she's like the big earth mother. You can just climb into her lap and snuggle into all those curves and just be held and nurtured. She's called Venus because when they discovered her, there were thousands of these tiny little images. This is a big version of her, but little images all around the hearth fires in these, very ancient civilizations, these archaeological sites. And they thought, oh, she must be some sort of sex object. I don't think so. I think and so do most scholars, that she's representative of their image of the divine back then. And when you study the early goddess worshiping civilizations, you see many figures like her really honoring the female form and the mothering creatrix, creative energy of mother energy. And remember, you don't have to be a physical biological mother in order to really embrace that creative energy. So just pause for a minute, jot down either just on a piece of paper or, in the chat, what have you created? How do you nurture people? If you've given birth, that's great, but maybe it hasn't been to a child, maybe it's been to a book. So think about how you embrace, how you really hold your mother and creative energy. And then, she's a heavy one. She usually sits on my my bookshelf back there, my filing cabinet back there. This, I mirrored, so I don't know which way to turn. This is Isis, and she is the Queen of Heaven in the Egyptian pantheon. Definitely looks like a powerful lady. She's the embodiment of the Queen or Amazon femme type. This is where we show our power. This is where we show our assertiveness. And Joan Borisenko, who's wrote a wonderful book years ago about all the life cycles of women. She talks about this representing the stage of life with women who are finished with mother. I mean, we're never finished with mothering years, but if they're biologically having children, but before they go through menopause, which is the classic definition for Crohn's, wise women Crohn's, that this is a time when our testosterone increases. So this is when we get out there and we really, take action and we jump into political things and, maybe things that we didn't have the guts to do. Think about some of those energies, focus, strength. I'm looking back in their self-assuredness, confidence. This is where this stage of life and this femme type of Amazon queen is really embodied in Isis and many other goddesses too, frankly. And then my last little bit of show and tell. She is considered a triple goddess, maiden mother crone, but she's particularly known. This is Hecate in the Greek pantheon. She was the goddess of the underworld and of the crossroads, and considered a wise woman crone goddess. And she represents how we go deep and tap into our wisdom. The femme type of wise woman crone is being the teacher, but in a way by example. It's a very deep kind of primordial energy, the crone energy. But again, we all hold that within us. How do you tap into your intuition? I'm looking here. Nurture people by understanding them, being compassionate. There's so many ways that's the mother energy. But crone energy is very much about coming back, settling into all of our wealth of experience, and then how do we disseminate that to other people? So you've got a little glimpse, it's just a little taste of the four faces of the divine feminine. What I'd love to do, we'll see if I don't know that I'll have time to do all four of them, but I want to share with you my favorite type of meditation is chanting. And if you don't know, if you've been to yoga classes, you know that there's Sanskrit chants that you can do. But there are also, once you get into this, divine feminine goddess spirituality stuff, there are wonderful goddess chants. And chanting, any kind of singing, is incredibly powerful in terms of raising your vibration. And it's important not just to listen to it, but to make sure that you sing. So I'm going to expect you all to be singing. You're all muted, so nobody has to hear what you sound like, but I'm going to teach you a few. And literally, they've shown, and there's wonderful studies that have shown that singing decreases stress, it increases creativity, it helps you feel more present. But again, it's using your voice and creating that vibration within your body. One of the things I love most about women's spirituality and the divine feminine are some of these chants. I sing in a women's chorus here in New York City, and it's just definitely one of my therapies. So let's see. Here's just a very sweet one. And you can always, they'll be posting my Wellness Universe profile there. You can reach me there or at my website, spiritedliving.com, if you want the words to these. But I never give the words out because that would move us into the left brain. I really want you, and I always say to people, just join in before you're ready, which keeps us in that, that feminine space, that really intuitive, trusting just our deepest knowing, our collective unconscious that knows these in our bones, in our beings. So the first one I want to teach you, I generally associate with maiden or virgin energy. This is the energy of innocence and playfulness. And it goes like this. I will be gentle with myself. I will love myself. I am a child of the universe, being born each moment. I think you can hear those words. I will be gentle with myself. I will love myself. I'm a child of the universe, being born each moment. So I'm going to sing it again and just join in. Maybe we'll sing it twice. I want to teach you just one more. I will be gentle with myself. I will love myself. I am a child of the universe, being born each moment. I will be gentle with myself. I will love myself. I am a child of the universe, being born each moment. Now, the idea with chanting is that we would just keep singing it and singing it and singing it until we don't think we can sing it anymore. And then we keep singing it. And at that point, we really move from kind of this mundane space into a magical space. We move across the limen or the threshold. So let's see. I want to find one that's short enough. This is a sweet one. We'll go from maiden to wise woman crone. This one is, it's the blood of the ancients that flows through our veins, and the forms pass, but the circle of life remains. Well, that seems fitting right now. I'm not sure why, but it does. It's the blood of the ancients that flows through our veins, and the forms pass, but the circle of life remains. It's the blood of the ancients that flows through our veins, and the forms pass, but the circle of life remains. It's the blood of the ancients that flows through our veins, and the forms pass, but the circle of life remains. Ah, aren't they lovely? Even if you're not a singer. It's one of the great things I've discovered about doing circles on Zoom or elsewhere is that everybody can sing and they don't have to be self-conscious. So I would invite you in this last minute or so to really reflect on how you carry all of these qualities innately, whether you're male or female, whether you're a man or a woman, but these qualities of honoring your emotions and celebrating your intuition, of being connected to nature and honoring your bodies. How do you carry all those within you at any given time? And write them down, connect, do a little research and find images, because I think that visual piece is important too. Have fun exploring your very deep, luscious, divinely feminine selves. You too, guys. Hello, Anna.
Hi, Deborah. Deborah, that was so fantastic. You make me feel great about being a woman. I
Good.
really truly love that. I felt the essence of who I am as a woman. Your delivery, well, your singing is magnificent. So to lead us through those chants, and I just feel like, wow, how powerful would it be to be sitting in a room with you in a circle with other women and men who are confident and comfortable enough to do this with us because they have a feminine side. How powerful would it be to feel everybody's energy reverberating? You are such a powerful leader in this, and I want to thank you so much. And just want to say to everyone, Jenny dropped Deborah's link in the chat. Please connect with her because you do lead circles monthly, correct?
Yeah, now they're all on Zoom. I've always led, one live and one on the phone, and now everything's.
Yes. Yes. So I implore you to please connect with Deborah. If this resonated with you, Deborah, I really enjoyed your session, and it was so powerful. It was informative. It was a lesson. It was a workshop. It was everything all wrapped up in about 25 minutes. So I just want to say thank you so much.
So wonderful to be here. Enjoy all the rest of your day, everyone, too. And thank you again, Anna, for just creating this magical space.
My pleasure, and thank you for stepping up to everything that you are and sharing it with the world. Really appreciate you, Deborah.
Thanks, Anna.